Now, teenage love is often challenging and complicated, and at times, even deadly, like in this really twisted case. When this couple thought that their relationship was in trouble, they did something that left everyone completely horrified. Let's get into it. Micaela Constanzo was born on May 3rd, 1994 in Elko, Nevada, to Cecilia and Teddy Constanzo. She was the youngest of 3 girls and was described as a happy, outgoing, and positive person who always saw the good in everyone. When this incident happened, Mickie, as she was popularly called, was a student at West Wendover High School. She was pretty and popular, playing on the basketball team and being a track star. She was also the editor of her school's newspaper and dreamt of being an author one day. Mickie was close with her mom and sisters and would text them regularly if she had a change in her schedule. So on March 3rd, 2011, when Mickie didn't text her mother after school or answer her cell phone, she knew something bad had happened. But what? Mickie was last seen leaving the school at 5 p.m. through the back doors. Usually, her elder sister would pick her up from school, but on that day, she had gone out of town, so Mickie decided to walk home, but she never arrived. Her mom started getting worried and called all her friends to check if they'd seen or heard from her, but no one had seen her for a few hours. Knowing her daughter and knowing that this was unlike her, Cecilia called the police. The police started by interviewing Mickie's friends and classmates, but got nothing. Then, they pulled out her cell phone records, and that's when they noticed something strange. Before she vanished, Mickie had been texting and calling one particular number that happened to belong to Cody Patton, an 18-year-old senior who had been Mickie's childhood friend. Police brought Cody in for questioning, and he told them the same thing that everyone else had. The last time he saw Mickie was outside the school at 5 p.m. He said that she was with someone that he thought was her boyfriend, but wasn't sure. A widespread search was launched as friends, family, police, and volunteers combed the vast desert surrounding the town in search for Mickie. But for 2 days, nothing panned out. Then on the 3rd day, one of the searchers noticed something rather weird in the middle of nowhere. Fresh tire marks veering off the road. And when he followed them, he saw a suspicious mound covered by sagebrush, and underneath was something that appeared to be blood. He immediately alerted the police, who came and uncovered Mickie's body. She had been brutally beaten and stabbed repeatedly on her face and neck. And there was a plastic tie around one of her arms that led investigators to believe she had been brought unwillingly to the location where she was murdered. But who could have done such a horrible thing, and why? Mickie's family was completely devastated when they heard the news. They could not understand why anyone would want to hurt Mickie. They held a press conference calling for justice for their daughter.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, this is not over yet until the person or persons responsible are brought to justice.
And police already had a person of interest, Mickie's oldest friend, Cody Patton. He was the last person to communicate with her, and the surveillance video in the school showed Mickie and Cody in the hallway leading to the exit, where she disappeared minutes later. In his first interview, Cody said he saw Mickie with her boyfriend at the front of the school, but everyone else said she was at the back of the building. Mickie and Cody had known each other since they were kids and lived in the same apartment complex. They even dated for a while before they broke up and went their separate ways. Mickie started dating someone else, and Cody got involved with a girl called Tony Fratto. Tony was smart, goal-oriented, and a religious girl who came from a devout Mormon family. She introduced Cody to the Mormon faith and kept him focused on his goal of joining the Marines. After dating for a while, and despite being in high school, the two got engaged, and Cody even moved in with Tony and her parents. Tony's parents were a bit conflicted about letting their daughter's boyfriend move in with them, but they feared that if they didn't let him, Tony might move out to be with Cody. Therefore, they let him stay so they could keep an eye on him. But soon, Cody won them over, and they started seeing him as part of the family. They were shocked to hear that Cody was a person of interest in a murder case. When Cody was interrogated again, he tried to behave as if he didn't know what the police were talking about. But his dad begged him to tell the truth and do the right thing. And that's when he broke down and confessed to everything. He said that he and Mickie had gone for a drive in the desert after school, and that they got into an argument when Mickie told him to break up with his fiancé and be with her instead, which he refused. The argument soon turned physical when Mickie started hitting him in the chest.
She started yelling at me. I said it's because I'm not leaving Tony, huh? She started like pounding on my chest and stuff.
Cody pushed her off and she fell, hit her head, and started to convulse. Cody broke down in tears as he told the cops how he took a shovel and hit Micaela to knock her out.
Kind of just tried to hit her on her head right here somewhere, trying to just knock her out.
But Micaela was still making sounds, so what did Cody do? He slashed her throat to get her to stop. How sick is that? But it didn't end there. When he realized that she was dead, he dug up a shallow grave and buried her there, and then tried to burn her belongings. With such a damning confession, Cody was arrested and charged with first-degree homicide with high chances of getting the death penalty. Still, something in his story was just not adding up. Despite his confession and him insisting that he did everything alone and that nobody knew what he was up to, some people did not believe him and felt that he was hiding something. Mickie's family especially was shocked by this confession because they did not imagine that the boy that they knew growing up was capable of hurting his friend. They felt that Cody was either covering up for someone or someone had forced him to do what he did. But who? Meanwhile, Cody's fiancé Toni was super devastated by Cody's arrest, and she showed her support by visiting him in jail and writing love notes to him, telling him how much she missed him and would always stand by him. The fact that Cody had confessed to murder did not seem to bother her. Then, in April 2011, Toni left home dressed only in her pajamas and went to Cody's lawyer's office, accompanied by Cody's dad. There, she confessed on tape that she was involved in Mickie's death and was there when it happened. She told an entirely different story of how everything happened. She said that on the day that Mickie disappeared, she received a text from Cody with the words, "I have her," meaning that he had Mickie in his car and was coming to pick her up. The three of them drove out of the town to the desert, and as they went, Mickie became more and more agitated. When they stopped, Cody and Mickie got out of the car to talk, and their conversation soon turned into a shouting match. According to Toni, she saw Mickie pushing Cody, and then, when she looked away, she heard a loud thud on the car. She got out of the car to see what was happening and found Mickie lying on the ground.
Micaela was on the ground, and she wasn't really moving at that point.
According to Toni, they started freaking out and didn't know what to do. So she allegedly hit Mickie with a shovel, and then together with Cody, they slit her throat and buried her in a shallow grave that Cody had prepared. After this, the pair then drove to a nearby swimming pool to clean up, and then went to McDonald's as if nothing happened. How sick and twisted is that? Until this point, no one had even suspected Toni of being involved in this. She had appeared to be so sweet, an innocent girl who got involved with the wrong guy. But now, everyone was shocked and could not believe what they were hearing. The chilling confession would later turn over to the police, and Toni was arrested and charged with homicide. But the story does not end there. When Toni's parents heard about their daughter's confession, they were horrified and could not believe their little girl was capable of such brutality. They described her as a kind and gentle girl who had never gotten into any trouble before. They claimed that Cody must have forced their daughter into committing the crime, saying that he was a jealous, possessive, and controlling boyfriend. In fact, just a month before the slaying, security cameras at their school had caught Cody pushing Toni against a wall, lifting her legs off the ground as he choked her. This was allegedly not the first or last time that Cody had abused Toni. Still, Toni refused to press any charges against him, worrying that it might prevent him from getting into the Marines. Cody had moved in with Toni's family after his own parents had threw him out, and according to some of his classmates, he would often brag about how his girlfriend's family was under his control. In fact, he would publicly insult and humiliate them, yet they let him stay in their home. Toni's parents said that they thought that Cody was changing his ways and becoming a better person, but clearly he wasn't. They believed that he was still controlling their daughter from jail and that he had asked her to confess to the murder so as to save him from the death penalty. But is this what really happened? After both being in jail for a while, both Cody and Toni were offered a plea deal if they would testify against the other. At first, Cody agreed to the plea deal, but later changed his mind. Toni, on the other hand, took the deal and agreed to plead guilty to second-degree homicide and testify against the man she promised to stand by forever. This time around, she gave another, completely different version of the events that took place. She said that Cody was mad at Mickie, and when she got into the SUV, she saw Mickie stuffed in the back, scared, bed with her hands up to her face. Cody then texted her saying, "We have to kill her." Cody then started digging a grave and ordered Tony to hit Mickie, but she refused. Cody started punching Mickie and told Tony to hit her with a shovel. Tony hit Mickie in the shoulder and Cody hit her in the head. While on the ground, Tony held Mickie's legs, and at some point, Mickie looked up at Cody and asked if she was still alive and if she could go home. Cody slit her throat and they buried her. In April 2012, Tony pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to life behind bars with a possibility of parole in 18 years. And in May 2012, Cody agreed to plead guilty to first-degree homicide and was given a life without a possibility of parole. But the question everyone was asking was why? Why did they do it? Now, apparently, Tony was not as innocent as she made everyone believe. She was super jealous of Mickie's relationship with her boyfriend and even kept a diary in which she wrote about her insecurities. She believed that Cody did not love her as much as he loved Mickie and feared that one day he was going to leave her for his childhood friend. And knowing this, Cody began to use his girlfriend's jealousy as a sick form of entertainment. He would create situations that he knew she would react to, including texting and talking with Mickie. According to Mickie's family, for months, Tony verbally insulted Mickie. Mickie even confided in her sister, telling her that she didn't like the drama, that she had a boyfriend, and that she was not interested in Cody. But the taunts continued, and Tony became convinced that Mickie was trying to steal Cody from her.
Ever since Tony Fratto and Cody started dating, Tony never even liked it when Micaela and Cody would associate with each other.
In an interview, Mickie's sister said that she believed Cody would not have harmed Mickie if Tony did not instigate it.
I believe that Mr. Patton would never have harmed my sister if Tony never wanted it.
But what do you think happened? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section.